countdown is going. Will the turntable be back? Against the law, who gives a shit? We do everything what is in today's time not allowed anymore with 23 years later Return to Zombie Island. It's time to bring show business back on screen. To really do something what makes people excited. Let's storm the movie theaters at Halloween this year with Nights of House of the Dead double features. Look at the perks at Indigo Go, look at the campaign, and go for it. Buy it, help us to do the movie. Spike Lee raised $7 million on fucking crowdfunding. Eli Ross, did you ever watch Borderlands, this piece of shit? Come here, Zombie Island. That's the unofficially but better House of the Dead movie, better as everything they can ever shoot. Let's go.
All right, 2026. I never thought I'd get a round 3 with the infamous Uwe Boll. My friend, welcome back again.
Yeah, that's the problem. I come once, I come always.
I mean, you are welcome anytime. You know that. It's great to have you. It's been a little while. A lot is going on in your world. We've had multiple movies. We've had talks of a upcoming movie, and now even more. We got a new project. So we got a lot to discuss, but I want to start with the most important is we got a crowdfund. We got a page. We have something ready to go. We're going to have a link in the description of the video. But let's talk a little bit about that, because the first time we met, one of the first things we talked about and connected with was your first video game movie, House of the Dead. So right. It is a nice full circle moment for us. Interesting name, 23 years later, Return to Zombie Island. There's a lot in there. I mean, I think I get it. But yeah, tell us a little bit about what's going on and what to expect.
I mean, 2 years ago, I asked Sega, are the rights available to do a House of the Dead, another House of the Dead movie? And they said no. And I said, okay, but who has the rights? They didn't tell me. So I had no clue. Then last year, when was it? In fall at one point, they released that Paul Anderson, the guy from Resident Evil and Monster Hunter and so on, is planning to do another House of the Dead movie. And it was like in pre-production, basically, right? And I was kind of pissed about it. And at the same time, I saw also that my House of the Dead revenues went up. So, like it awaked my movie again. And in Germany, in the kind of a Best Buy gaming big supermarket in Hamburg, they said, look, we want to show your House of the Dead. We want to charge $10. We fly you in, you do a podcast with us. So I went to Hamburg and 200 tickets sold out, great atmosphere, great podcast. And the people were really excited. And a lot of people also from the audience said, look, what we really loved on the movie was that it is kind of, bloody, sexy, stupid, fun. It's not this kind of horror movies because right now when you see horror, it's like, oh, who makes the most scary horror? And it's the fun part is gone. A lot of the horror movies are basically like a test, but not really like it's nothing you enjoy and want to watch again. And a lot of people at that evening in Hamburg, they told me, like, I've watched that movie 10 times. I love that movie. And I said, yeah, but why is it 2.3 points on IMDb? And I think the real the last 15 years, it turned into kind of a cult movie. And the people don't worry about the rating anymore. They don't go and rate it, I mean, you go to Amazon, that has 4 out of 5. So that's a way higher rating. But I think IMDb, kind of similar to Rotten Tomatoes, is kind of almost a fraud, to be honest, because a lot of the reviews are just basically paid in a way. And you feel like, okay, I shouldn't take it too serious. And so I contacted Lionsgate and I said, did you have anything to do with the new film? And they said no. And I said, why we don't do a real sequel to my original if I get the same actors doing it again? Like I asked Jonathan Sherry, Ona Grauer, Clint Howard, Tyron Letzel, Will Sanders, and they all said, I'm coming back. I would do it again. And that is why we do 23 years later, and of course, also as a joke for the 20 years later, And I mean, it is a zombie island where everything is happening. So why not return to Zombie Island? And I said, Lionsgate still is not committed for the film. That's one of the reasons for the crowdfunding we're doing right now, But I asked Lionsgate, I said, did you look on your own accounting? Like, you made over $30 million with my film on especially home video, and also 13 million on theatrical. So I said, like, and now we want to make a cheaper movie, right? We do real blood effects, but like, like $2-3 million movie. So I said, how can you not do it? I said, are you insane? We will totally run against that big movie. We get all the PR to do it. We get all the, and I think we have to, of course, make the movie the same style like House of the Dead 1. That you do like real effects with blood and so on. And you're not doing a lot of CGI. You're not creating like fake backgrounds and CGI. You just shoot in the forest. You build the leftovers of the house, what exploded. So, and I felt like, that's actually, I think it will actually perform. It will actually, people will want to watch that. So I said, let's shoot that and then put it out Halloween, like in movie theater.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And as I said, they're still not committed till now. So hopefully they listen to us here right now. And, but so parallel, I of course try to pre-sell to other countries, and I try to raise money from investors, and I try to raise money from Indiegogo. Where the campaign would be online, but there are like, so you fill out all the stuff, then it comes into the preview phase, and then you want to get hot, and now they told us today, no, because we put up the first 4 perks today and wanted that gets out today, and then we release more perks as we go, and they said, no, you have to put all the perks in, and then basically fill out a technical form that these 4 perks go online now. But we sent them only the 4 perks.
Yeah, they kind of want everything fleshed out and in place. Understood.
Yes, and now my wife is filling out all this shit right now, and then we try to get it out as fast as possible, because the plan was to have the first 4 perks out today. So it will happen hopefully tomorrow or Wednesday. So I would say everybody who listens, just follow the campaign, click on the link, and then go on follow, and then you get an automatic notification if the first perks coming out. So, and I mean, we have also 2 like really funny perks coming out, like one only Michael Bay can buy, and one only,
I love it.
only Ryan can buy. So I don't say what it is, but when people read it, they will laugh. And so it's
That's
like, only allowed to buy that specific perk. Let's see if Michael Bay has humor. And but I'm kind of excited because of the more like gritty, real stuff. First Shift, I shot First Shift 2 and 3 in September. We're in post-production. Citizen Vigilante will come out, I think, in April, May. And that's very violent and very dark movie.
Can't wait.
Yeah, so the death wish of the new generation. So but I feel like to do something in a way, of course, more bloody, but lighter. It like this kind of. I have to say, when I was sitting in Hamburg for a long time, it was the first time I watched House of the Dead again on the big screen, and I had a good time because it's so stupid. Like Will Sanders, like when he wants to pee in the tent. When he wants to, like, before he has sex with his girlfriend there, right? And he goes up and it looks like he's peeing, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he's like,
"So good.
I have to pee," right? She's like, "I'm not in the tent, you fucking idiot." So, but this kind of stuff, I think, makes the movie like really enjoyable, because it's kind of on purpose like this, and it's not like so stupid that it's funny. That's too, but it's a mix. But it's also, I think, a lot of people can see that it was the concept of it was that it doesn't take itself too serious.
Right. No, it makes sense. It was a different era too. When you think about other movies that were being made in that same genre, they were
Yeah.
going for that over the top, gory, a lot of the physical prosthetics. We were doing practical effects, but it was very campy. And I can give a great example of a horror movie that I feel was intentionally serious that had some campy tones in the 80s, which was Sleepaway Camp. I don't know if you've ever
Oh yeah,
seen it.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
And then, we had two sequels with a different actress, but they shared a very similar tone, and personally, I enjoy them. And then they did a Return to Sleepaway Camp, which brought Felicia back, but it
yeah,
was very over the top campy, like too much. Like I
yeah,
enjoyed it when it came out because it was nice to bring the actress back. But I watched it recently and I'm like, sometimes it doesn't like to go back doesn't always resonate. So
yeah,
sometimes campy can be too much. I mean, I'm a trauma nut. I love all the stuff that Lloyd does, but even that in some of those movies they don't translate. Now, even if you're
yeah,
into that. But I think your movie, we need more of that. Like we've lost a lot of the sense of humor in that world, and I think we've talked about that in the past, where everything has changed. Everything is, it's okay to be serious. But I think that at least with the zombie films, I think you made a good point on Twitter. You talked about everything is, why, like going into the depths of like having an origin and figuring out things, and not just they're just zombies. Most
yes,
people are not going to survive. It is just chaos, and some people are ignorant to chaos and then just do stupid shit, and that's a good way of kind of balancing that out. I mean, Cabin Fever is a good one. I feel like brings a little bit of both.
yeah.
Um,
Final
so
Destination.
yes, yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, and you see how big those have gotten, and
yeah,
they're bringing
they're
them,
now
continuing to
major
bring them back.
$60 million movies. And I
Right,
mean, John Kerry was in the first or second Final Destination, the lead,
right,
who's lead in House of the Dead. But I feel also like Final Destination, even with the new one, I really liked it too, to be honest, because it was fun to watch it. You only look like, oh my fucking god, that all like on that
right.
tower in the beginning, and you
With
know
the coin, and everything. Yeah,
worst possible way. And um, but this kind of horror, what is horror? As you say, it cannot be too campy,
right,
right? If it's just like, then you have to do something like what I did with Blubberella. Then you do just a comedy,
right,
where crystal clear comedy, and it's all bullshit basically. So, but if you
right,
go for it, it has to be this kind of, oh, it gets dark, it gets bloody, main people die, uh, but at the same time, it has this kind of like, let's see who dies now, how, right? So what on Halloween, on Friday the 13th, in the beginning, they were all like this. It was just like, they were not campy, but they were more scary, but at the same time, they were very entertaining, and they didn't drag you down that you
right.
get super depressed. And I feel like in the last horror films, a lot of the horror films I watched, they just make you very depressed,
Yeah,
and you feel like it was not uplifting here, or not even fun to watch. It was more like, what the fuck,
right,
so and that's the competition is big, and that's the thing, what I felt on the Paul Anderson, the Resident Evil thing. I think they were riding it to death, right? It was just so over for me,
yeah,
and that I just couldn't watch it anymore. I like, my God, and he didn't never got it that you cannot take it too serious. So, and I think he takes it too serious, and I think there will be a major mistake on his House of the Dead movie.
right,
Um, the fun part will be gone. I think he will try to make it bigger and creepier and more bloody as 28 years later.
right.
And and that's not necessary, especially with a property like this, where you sit in an arcade and you shoot zombies. That's the initial House of the Dead thing. So it should not like totally go away from this fun people have to play the game. You
Right.
know.
And
So
let's not forget how horrible the dialogue was in the games. It was
yes,
forcibly bad. So,
yeah,
for them to not, again, it's when it comes to adapting medium, it's always going to be a tough. Do you stay faithful to everything or do you change stuff? Look at. I'm sure you've seen the trailer for He-Man. You think back to what He-Man is. Think about Skeletor for a moment, and think about, are they going to have him going around with that voice, or are they going to, I mean, listen, I would love it if he comes out with that high pitched voice. Jared Leto will redeem himself, but it's a there's got to be that fine line of picking and
Normally,
choosing.
when I read Jared Leto, the thing is over for me. So not normally, right? So I mean, he had a very bad taste and pick of parts recently, and I don't know if it will be good. The trailer is. It's tough to judge the whole movie based on,
of course,
and that's the thing, But I had maybe you read it, that I got Alone in the Dark back, right? So I have the possibility to make another Alone in the Dark movie. And very interesting was that various more like Hollywood direct like producers from right now contacted me about it, and they basically in the talks with them. They basically see me now as, in a way, I was too early paving the way.
You were ahead of your time.
Yeah, but they give me that credit when I talked to them. They said, "Look, you started it way earlier as everybody else, and you did it systematically." And they kind of like it that I did that, and they jumped on the bandwagon. You can say 10 years after I'm almost done with Far Cry, Blood Rain, Dungeon Siege, and so on. It changed now. Now games are big and comics are not big anymore. That's, I think, the biggest why Star Wars also is kind of outdated, and so is Marvel and DC. They are kind of done, and I don't think they know it, because they're spending so much money on still the Batman and Superman, but I think they are so on the decline. And video games are the real shit of today's people, right?
I think people are going back to physical comics, believe it or not. I think we're getting more of a resurgence of going back to the source material and just reminiscing on remembering what they loved, and not utilizing the movies as that platform, because as somebody that's obviously grew up as a diehard, Marvel guy, I'm skeptical of what's coming because it's been very underwhelming. And, sometimes the bottle can run dry, and, I think it's time for some fresh content. And I think it's time to not take everything too serious. Like, you can have fun with any genre. That you can make a superhero movie and it can still be fun. And I think people forget that that's the reason you go to the movies. It's a popcorn flick. It's meant to be sit, escape, enjoy a different world, and it's great. Yeah.
But the comic movies for me, look, I collected comics, especially like whatever, Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Lieutenant Blueberry, Violent, some Batman, Superman, never really, but I read it. But Batman in the comics or Superman is always the same. And I think in the movies, we had so many Batmans, we had so many Supermans, that
always changing it.
It's not believable anymore, right? I don't need Roger Pattinson as Batman. I'm sure he's a good actor, but for me, in a way, Christian Bale was kind of the Batman. I kind of accepted at that point, but he also before him I think Michael Keaton was Batman also.
We had Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney.
Yeah,
it's ongoing. Yeah.
I think after Tom Holland is done with Spider-Man, they should just fucking stop. You cannot keep going with always the same new actors, and it's just like I'm not interested anymore. And I think also with Kathleen Kennedy leaving Star Wars, what is of course very good that she got out, but I think also it's maybe too late to save Star Wars.
Right.
It
needs something new that can build on its own and not continuously depend on the two trilogies that were successful. I think that's the problem. There's so much need for grasping at straws to it needs to have Chewbacca, it needs to have a Yoda, it needs to have a Skywalker. I mean, it's important because it's relevant to the nostalgia of growing up, but I think even nostalgia is kind of weaning on people, like, oh, I can like the past so much, but then it's like you get force fed it by corporate America and in corporate world of just like, hey, you like nostalgia, let's bring this back for you, and it's just okay. I think it's
And
time for a resurgence.
I think also the Star Wars. I mean, I like the Mandalorian a lot, and
Same,
and
same.
yeah, and but then they do too much other products, and they do like this kind
They
of
spin
mix of
off of everything.
yes, yeah, and that's the thing where I then start losing interest again, and
Right.
I'm not sure that the movie now the coming up is better as the TV show. So that's
Right.
another point where
That's a
people have
weird experiment. Yeah.
yeah, where you feel like, why I should pay no money to go to the movie for this? I watched too many episodes already.
Right.
So, and that's the thing. What I don't know, and I mean, with Alone in the Dark, the only condition the new owners of was that 2024 was a new Alone in the Dark game, and they want that I follow that game and not bring Christian Slater back and play in the future, whatever we have to play in the past.
I could see you working with David Harbour. I think that could be cool
It would be good.
if they went that route. I
Yeah,
enjoyed the game. The game was unfortunately a buggy mess, which is
yeah,
that other side of the problem that you can have. You can have a great game at its core.
yeah.
I had so many problems when I reviewed it. It took me out of it, and I'm an Alone in the Dark. That was my first video game in the world of horror back in '91 on the computer. So
Yeah.
I have a very special place in my heart. So it had a lot of potential, but then when it came out, it was just gone. It was
Yeah,
talked
yeah.
about, and then it wasn't. So, but I
No,
think
but I
David
think
Harbour
that
did a great job.
yeah, this 100%. But I think also it helps that my movie is still around, and that
Yeah,
people would say, "Look, let's give it a new shot here," right? So, and I hope we get that together too. I mean, advantage is I have the rights to the game. I don't have to fake it like House of the Dead. But
right.
I personally, I'm more enthusiastic and thrilled about House to do the House of the Dead sequel.
Well,
Uh,
because you have more freedom too at that point. Because yeah, you're
yeah,
paying homage to your own brand of what you did, even though it
yeah.
was part of a license. But that way, it could be whatever you want at that point. And especially just you're picking zombies. You could do anything with zombies too. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, what the additional great thing now in the new script is basically that people now are all online the whole time. Like they all like whatever, like they don't even get it that there are zombies first at the party. Like it's this kind of like the people are so disconnected from
Yeah,
what's happening
social
around.
media.
Yes, and we play with this, right? So that it's
Right.
kind of a satire too, where you have like, okay, this guy just doesn't get it that he still talks to the zombie across from him because he thinks he's just a dressed guy like Burning Man, like so that are more the funny but also kind of satirical elements about that new generation who is so detached also from nature. That idea to go on an island over the weekend and be in a tent is
Right.
already like unseen for them. Like, what are we doing here? Oh, you
Right.
don't have air mattress to put out like a
They're
thing you
gonna
can.
they're gonna take the phone out right away. It's the first
Yeah,
thing.
yes, and they basically filming their own death. Uh, and I think that's a good twist in the new situations because you see so many. I mean, hopefully not too many, but I mean, so many real deaths the young people see already on Insta and TikTok, where people live
Yeah.
stream something and
Yeah.
getting
It's
driven
scary because
over,
it's real.
shot everywhere, people getting killed. You see this, and you see a lot of people also, they want to be cool and then they're dead. Look, I can jump from the roof in my pool, and then like boom, falling on the edge of
On
the pool,
accident.
and then the camera shuts off, but they're dead. And that's the thing where I feel doing the film, it is the classical setup, but now it is 20 years later, and everybody has a phone. It's not anymore like, oh, my phone doesn't work. That would not fly anymore, I think, in a movie today. So no, the phones are working, but it's like they're not getting it. At one point, you need to grab an axe to defend yourself.
Right.
So
Calling for help's not going to help at this point. So it doesn't
yeah,
matter that you have a signal at that point. You're just going to be, entertainment for someone else, especially if, let's say somebody's live streaming while they're
yeah,
there. That's an interesting niche that I've seen some horror movies have done. Like there was a movie about a guy that goes into a haunted house, live streams the whole thing, and the house ended up being haunted. It's cool because it's relevant because unfortunately we do have to adapt with some aspects of life, and the children of our life now that's the digital
yeah.
age. They're all there, so
It's a part of their body almost.
yeah, yeah,
It's like unbelievable how the phone is really turned as a part of your body, and you feel not complete if you forgot it somewhere or you don't have it.
even
And
before your keys sometimes.
yeah, it's scary, and
It
of
is.
course with my own kids, and but of course at the same time, look, it's dark now. My son is 11. He went to the gym, but I can't track him. I can't, like I see where he is. So
Right.
that's the good part. You also can use a phone to be more safe and stuff like this. So I don't want to I don't want to go back to the time without a phone, but I want to go back to the time where you're not looking at your phone the whole time.
Right.
That you cannot sleep if you don't have a white noise going. Like
Yes.
this. That's all. Like, of course, in my generation, there was not existing. It was like, okay, you cannot sleep, too bad for you, but not like
You just sit there and close your eyes and just roll your eyes
yes,
and
and
get through it.
don't get the dopamine going, and
Right.
never stop watching stuff. So that's where we're living in. But as I said, I hope people go on the campaign. There's of course also a perk coming up where if you want to be in the film Zombie, you can buy the perk, but you have to travel to Vancouver. You have to come there on your own costs. But then you can be a zombie, and that I think could be fun for various people to maybe do this, combine it with a little holiday.
Yeah,
Going
absolutely.
around Victoria Island and so on. So all that stuff will come up. Yeah, and I'm excited about First Shift 2 and 3. I finally got a response from Paramount Plus that they want to watch it as soon as it's done with post production, because I gave up a little hope on Paramount Plus. Like First
You were
Shift 1
quiet
was,
for a while, right?
yeah, and there was nobody responsible. Nobody knows anybody, and everybody like, yeah, okay. I mean, if I want to offer them a movie, especially two movies based on a successful movie at Paramount Plus, how can they not answer me?
Right.
And then the head of acquisitions, the new one, she answered and said she will watch it as soon they're done. What makes me, because I know we have good movies, very hopeful that it ends up in Paramount Plus. And Run, my movie about the migrants, that James Russo, is also bought by Paramount Plus now, and will get aired at Paramount Plus and Showtime soon.
That's great.
So yeah, so at least there, hopefully millions of people will watch it. Before it was only you had to pay for it, on
Right.
Amazon or Apple, and that didn't work out well. People are so picky, and it's not that automatically 100,000 people watch a movie
Right.
only because it's there, and that's also one of the points where I feel like with 23 years later, let's go back to just entertaining non-political movies.
Yeah.
Run is a very good movie, but it's very real, and it's happening. I mean, look what happens in America, or what happens in Europe. You have two extremes, right? You have in America now, everybody gets thrown out and like raided and violently removed and stuff like this. And then you have in Europe still this kind of, a lot of migrants abuse the system,
Yeah.
because of full of political correctness. They just live on welfare, and laughing all the way to the bank and are not doing anything. And then they're getting violent and they do drug dealing and stuff like this. So it's not like I'm always like in the middle of opinions, right? So, and I feel ICE and Trump went too far. That's absolutely that cannot be what they're pulling up there. That the people getting shot and people like they're not like storming a Colombian drug mafia house with a SWAT team. They're on fucking street demonstrations. You cannot shoot. That's the thing. That's for me like where the police should calm it down a little. And at the same time, of course, under the 2.5 million people who got deported, there were maybe 100,000 criminals. And the streets are safer. There are less drug dealers in America. The murder rate went drastically down. So that's for me, I think we talked about last time too, right? It was not good that Kamala Harris let 8 million people into the country. That was horrible and an unbelievable mistake, right? But it's also not an excuse now to drag people out of their jobs or kids out of the school and throw them out who lived here for 20 years and work and pay taxes. So that's for me also, and I really don't know why there is no middle ground. Everything is an excuse, That's
it's always one side or the other, and it's we've seen both in the last 6 years. It's just been, so it's like, okay, does anybody realize that we're in a weird place, and there's got to be a fine line in the sand at some point, and it's tough because it's dividing the world too. That's the biggest thing that's happening, is because obviously there are people that feel one way or the other, and so.
Let me let the dogs out.
Yeah, no problem.
You can bark outside. I don't know. No. Maybe the sushi guy, but my wife has said she can pick it up. So, and I mean, that's the sad thing, right? So that the common sense thing is not visible, and not in Europe on the left, and in America on the right. More, it's like they all double down on their position.
Yes.
Without any form of trying to settle on a kind of, okay, let's de-escalate here everything, right? When Trump threatened to take Greenland, you feel like
that's a movie in itself, right?
Yes, and there was the thing where he calmed down now also and tries to make a deal, whatever. But you cannot threat Denmark that you with violent force would take Greenland and maybe even shoot NATO soldiers like Europe. And if Europe and US are not working together anymore, then we will see that everything will go to shit. Then good luck in Russia and China world. Because then we will lose on the long term. We have not the most people on Earth. There are billions of people, way more. There will be 8 billion people, and only not even 1 billion will be Europeans and Americans, and 7 billion will be from Africa, Asia. And if they all work together, especially with China, then we will be unimportant. We go down the drain. And that's the thing. I strongly believe that only America and Europe, they cannot get divided. That's very important. And you cannot threaten your own friends with, I just take it because I need it. Denmark is not Venezuela. Even in Venezuela, it's a different thing. But they kidnapped the guy, but Maduro was maybe a criminal and an asshole. So I can overlook this, but it's a kind of a third world country. But you cannot go to Denmark and have a violent kind of, nobody knows what to do then. I think that was what in Davos was important, that the people, I think, talk to Trump also and say, look, you're a member of the NATO. If you attack a NATO country, what should the other NATO countries do? Like defend the country what gets attacked from a NATO? That's fucking insane.
Right.
Agreed. That's the reason time for a House of the
Yes, back to it. So
Yeah,
I do have a couple of important questions to me.
yeah,
I would love
yeah,
to know.
yeah.
Number one, what made you decide to kind of come back to that world of the video game inspiration type of movies? You know, your earlier career after you've had some great successful, more serious tone original movies. Like, what made you, especially, I guess, House of the Dead makes the most sense. But what made you decide to come back? Is it the world of the movies as they are? You know, did somebody say, "Hey, you should do House of the Dead," and you're like, "Yeah, it's a good idea."
Basically, it's a
Okay.
mix. People said, "Look, we love that movies. Don't get dragged down by the reviews." But that movies in a way made you as a director. And then I, of course, saw that the market now is doing one video game movie after the other, and why I shouldn't come back, the guy who started it all, right? So,
Yeah.
and I felt like now we're talking to the various Hollywood producers about it. They are very interested to move forward with projects together with me. And for me, I recognized also if you don't live in LA, you don't go to
Yeah.
the lunches or whatever, like I was always an outsider. And I need people on the ground who have the same interest as me, uh, getting something done, getting,
Right.
like, and if I can get that based on, I got some licenses back and worked on, I will have another license soon on another video game. So, I try to do this because I'm kind of good getting the licenses. And then, hopefully I get people on the ground or a streamer on the ground who says, look, we want to make all that movies. That's good. That's people will watch them. So that's really the answer
Okay.
to the question. Yeah.
Okay. The other question was because you are one of the few that have your own stance in the world of indie filmmaking, in my opinion. Like, you're a standout. And like I said, for better or worse, I know the opinions are different, but I always talk about trauma. And I think I've talked to trauma about with you. And I actually had Mr. Kaufman on the show a couple, like maybe a month ago. And I brought you up and talked, my love for you. And is there ever a thought, is there ever a chance that maybe you'd work with somebody like Lloyd and make something where you have these two creative brands that make things that not everybody else is making? Because I feel like you guys could do something really cool. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, I would never say no if he has a story idea or whatever, or some, remake idea. I mean, Toxic
Right.
Avenger did in a way.
Right.
Uh, and I'm open for everything. And or if he wants to put his thoughts on a postal too, and then maybe we do it with trauma together. I mean, the good thing with postal could be because it's kind of after the nuclear fallout. Who
Right.
knows how the world would look? We could go a little more trauma style to destroy New York, and they're coming, like stuff like this. And the good thing is in New York, you find a lot of spots they look like after nuclear
it's,
fallout.
it's very true. It's probably a lot cheaper to rent too when you think about it, right?
Exactly.
That's
And
awesome. Okay.
yeah, I totally, I'm open for all proposals.
All right. Well, I'm telling you right now, I tend to have some good records of willing things to an existence because when I did a show early last year, I had the actor that played Toxie from the second movie, which happens to be one of my favorites growing up, and it's a movie that is not super popular. It's very mixed, but I said these movies don't get enough love, and the day that I posted that podcast, uh, Bloody Disgusting did an article that Lloyd and Troma were putting out a Toxic Avenger 2 and 3, like a redoing of the two movies as one movie. I said, you guys have said nothing about these movies for decades. I
Yeah,
said,
exactly.
I have this. I said, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
hey, you never know. But
yeah,
that could be really cool. I could see it because, at the end of the day, the people that care about your movies are the ones that are looking, they know what they're getting. They're not
yeah,
thinking about what people say online, because I think when you and I first met, the first thing we talked about is the elephant in the room, the fact that, oh, Uwe Boll, why are you talking to him? Oh, his movies suck. And it's like, that's just what the world knows you that doesn't do the research. They do a search and they see one article and they assume. And I'm grateful and thankful to you that when we had that talk, it opened a lot of people's eyes. and a lot of people saw you in a different light because not only did we have a nice serious conversation, we had fun with it where you maybe cursed me out a little bit, and people saw that it's not everything that you read. So I'm glad that you've been able to overcome a lot of the bullshit over the years. You've been strong. You're one of the last men standing on Twitter, like me. It's a dying breed. I feel like we're talking to the wall half the time, but I think that there's a lot of potential. But the last question I had, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll do the last question, and then let me just throw it in
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
I feel also Twitter is kind of scary almost now. I mean, I what they feed me, the stuff what comes is
Yeah.
is more propaganda and also more AI stuff from all sides, where you just look at this and you think, is that a human writing that, or is it all grok now, or what? And and it basically changed the last 3-4 months. It went like really down. I really liked X in a way. For me, from the handling perspective, I liked X more as Instagram for me personally, because you can post a YouTube link and people can just click on the link and stuff like this. You can, the making a short video was easier. As Insta or TikTok is more work in a way, and it's like so random on TikTok also that it's totally like it's just I don't even see what I post. I don't know where it is, and it's like and on Twitter you can follow everything. That is why I like Twitter more. But what messages I'm reading there is a lot of times where I feel now it's almost like over. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so many people jump ship for sure. Everybody moved over for the most part to Blue Sky, from what I saw. I'm grateful to Twitter. We'll always call it Twitter because I don't know what the hell Elon was thinking.
But on it too. But it's like, as I said, the feeds started
Yeah.
changing drastically, and I'm still shadow banned, right? So it's totally absurd. I never got the shadow ban going away, even after Elon Musk took over or whatever. Maybe they don't really care. But you have one last question, because I also have I've had
I
several.
know you got dinner too, so I don't want to keep you.
Okay.
Is there distribution plans that you can talk about for Citizen Vigilante? Because I know you said we're hoping for this year. Are you looking to try to get it in some theaters, or are we going to maybe focus at home?
No, there is a New York and LA guaranteed theatrical release, only like 4 or 5 screens, right? So, but that's guaranteed in the contract with Quiver. They did a lot of movies from me, and First Shift also, and Run also. So they do it, and they also promise to spend real money on PR, because I told them also, guys, Army Hammer, you get maybe into Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, that's the reality.
it's true.
He was an A-list star, and what talk show doesn't want to talk to Army Hammer about the scandal, but also about our movie, about the comeback? Right? So just sell him as whatever, not the cannibal, but sell him like he was canceled,
Right.
and let him come and explain. But everybody who books him needs to show a clip from Citizen Vigilante. So, and this is how you do the PR. I'm happily doing podcasts, I'm happily doing whatever, but I'm not getting an invite from Joe Rogan. Right. But maybe Army Hammer gets an invite from Joe Rogan, right? So, and I hope that they really do this. They said first in April, now they said in May will be the release. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that with the New York release, maybe you consider coming back to town. Give me a reason to go out there.
Yes.
Maybe get you and Army would be an awesome, in-person thing. But Army, I just want to give him a shout out if he sees this. Thank you for your podcast. It was a huge inspiration for me because you did this show with your mom and it opened up so many thoughts. And I had my mom on my show, and I wanted to, give her that center of attention, and I thank him for that because it was really such an insightful show that he did, and you had told me about that. So I'll leave it at that.
I will send you the link from you also.
Awesome, right? I appreciate that.
Like, if he has time, he should go on your show too. So I will tell him this.
Yes, I would love. He's welcome, and I'm really excited for the movie. I mean, from knowing of it very early on, thanks to you, and I know that post production, that's the exciting time because I know you're right there. So I'm itching to see it, and I can't wait. And
Oh,
I will make sure that we get the word out there. 23 years later, Return to Zombie Island this week. Stay tuned. Some awesome perks. Be in the movie. I'm gonna start saving my schmeckles because I think I got to make a trip up to Canada too. So we'll let you go. Enjoy your dinner, Uwe. Always a
you.
pleasure. Thank you for your time as always.
See you the fourth time too. Okay.
Round 4 coming soon. Bye, everybody.